Hey everybody. So it's No Shave November, and I've been going to the gym recently, which means we're going to talk about the Bible. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people think the Bible is a really, really, really boring book. Well, I'm here to say that they're wrong. So we're going to talk about Samson. That's because No Shave November, muscles. Samson, strongest man alive who never cut his hair. Except for once. So I'm going to run you through the story of Samson. So Samson was born, and an angel of the Lord told his mom to never cut his hair, along with other things like don't touch blood, don't drink wine, all these things, because he was to be a Nazarite. And so, by the age of 5, I'm assuming he had, luscious hair just flowing in the breeze. And, by the age of, 13, he was a beetle, or, the hairstyle of a beetle. And so, it just makes me thinking of someone in, 12. So, Samson grew up, he was a little tot with big muscles, then he became a big tot with bigger muscles. Tater tots don't work in this situation. He turned from a tater tot to a potato tot. Potato tot, it's like a larger tater tot because it's a whole potato. So Samson is, he's getting older, and as all men get older, they want to find a wife. So he goes looking, and he finds this really, really gorgeous girl. And then he goes back to his family. He's like, Mom, Dad, I found this beautiful, beautiful girl. Go get her for me. And this always confused me. I was like, what? What? The parents shouldn't be going to get you a wife, dude. But that's just how it was, because there's a lot of money involved, especially because it was Israelites, and she was not an Israelite. She was a non-Israelite. Okay. And so they're on their way to the road to go meet this girl. And Samson, I guess he had to pee or something, because Samson left his family, and he's on the road separately. And a lion just comes out and attacks him. And he takes the lion, and he's able to rip it in half, which is disgusting. And he just leaves it there and goes and meets his family. And his family's like, oh, hey, Samson, where are you? Where were you? And he's like, oh, no. Okay, so now they're there. And they're having a great time. They're feasting. They're drinking some wine. And by the way, the daughters, or the wife's people, were so scared of Samson that they had 30 people follow him, in a circle, just following him all day. So, because they were scared, he was very muscular, like me. Look at that. Boom. Okay, so Samson probably had a bit to drink, even though he's not supposed to. He's like, hey, okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys a riddle. And it's from out of strength, something sweet, from out of the beast, something to eat. Something like that. I had to deal with the lion, and then he went back later and found that bees had made a nest in the lion, and so there was honey in it, and he also scooped up the honey and ate it, which is just disgusting. But so yeah, he's like, okay, so there's my riddle. Can you solve it? If you can't, you give me 30 pieces of clothing, which I'm sure he couldn't fit into any of the ones. And he said, if you guys win, I'll give you 30 pieces of clothing, and you have 7 days, or the end of the 7-day feast, to tell me. Of course, they didn't have Google back then, so they tried Googling the answer, but it didn't work. So then they ask Samson's wife, who he just got married. That's why they're having the feast. And they're like, hey, you're one of us still, remember. So you should go ask your husband what it means, because we don't have wiki answers. And so she's like, fine, I'll go ask him. So she goes asks him. And she's like, can you please just tell me the answer? Like, you don't love me if you don't tell me the answer. And he's like, no, I'm not going to tell you the answer. I mean, I just got married to you. I love you. I'm not telling you the answer. And she cries for the rest of the 7 days. And finally he's like, you are so annoying. I'll tell you the answer. And he's like, the answer is a lion and some bees. And so then she's like, psst, hey, I got the answer. It's a lion and some bees. And so then the people are like, oh, okay, we got this. So they go back to Samson like, dude, lion and bees. That's where it is. And he's like, well, you wouldn't know that answer if you didn't annoy my wife. So I'm going to just kill 30 of you. And so he kills 30 of them and then gives the 30 clothes from the people he killed to the people who won the bet. And so they got upset. And all this is like God's doing. Like, God put in motion that Samson would like this girl so that there'd be animosity between the two groups of people, and then the Israelites would conquer all. Because God's awesome. And so they get really upset. And he leaves without his wife, and his wife stays there. And so later he's really, I guess, sad, and he's like, I'm gonna go see my wife. And so he goes, and he knocks on his father-in-law's door, and the father-in-law comes out and is like, yes, sonny. And he's like, yo, can I see my wife? And he's like, oh well, I gave him to another man because I thought you weren't gonna come back. So Samson gets mad and kills a whole bunch more people. That's his way of unwinding. Like, some people, play video games, some people read. He kills people. And so now Samson runs away because now everybody's mad. And he runs into a cave. Because that's where, shelter, shelter. Okay. So then the people group, I'm going to look it up real quick. The people group gets really mad. There we go. Midian, it's not Midian. Oh, there we go. Samson, Philistine. It is the Philistines. Okay. So Samson went to a cave, and the Philistines attacked Israel. Well, now Israel's upset, and so they take... I gotta find this because this number is crazy. The Israelites took 3,000 men to go arrest Samson. So, when there's a threat in America, maybe a few hundred people show up that would arrest somebody, if there's a big threat. 3,000 people, and they go to this cave. I guess they just know what cave Samson hides at, and they go, hey, you need to come with us. You're under arrest. And he's like, okay. And they're like, really? And then he's like, yeah. He's like, don't kill me though. And they're like, no, dude, we're not gonna kill you. We just need to arrest you. And he's like, okay, well, bind my hands up with, really strong rope, and it'll be fine. They're like, yeah, that's a good idea. And so they I guess they walk all the way back, and then Samson finds, they take him to the Philistines, because the Philistines were the original angry ones, And right away, Samson like burst out of his ropes and takes a donkey's jawbone and kills what, 3,000? No, kills 1,000 people with a donkey's jawbone. It like this. He's just like going around killing everybody because he's relieving stress. So yeah, that's how that ends. And then after that, he rules Israel for 20 years because if some guy is able to kill 1,000 people with a donkey's jawbone, I would make him king. He's actually a judge. That's why he's found in Judges. So, but then, the obvious Samson story, Samson Delilah, comes up. Okay, so Samson is 20 years older, so I'm assuming he maybe like 40 or 50. That sounds old. And he meets a prostitute, and her name is Delilah. Let's see, yeah. And this is my favorite part because it's just, they're so stupid. Okay, so Samson's with Delilah, like, during the night, he's slaying with her, and, his, like, either the house or the town gets surrounded, and he goes to Gaza to meet Delilah, and all the Gazites come and surround. They're like, oh yeah, we got him, we totally got him, but let's wait till morning. So I guess they all fall asleep, and Samson sneaks out during the middle of the night, takes a gate post, rips it from the wall, and then carries it up a mountain. Like, how do you miss that? How do you miss a very large and muscular man, like, ripping a gate post out of the ground and carrying it up a mountain? Like, how do you miss that? They must have been, like, really deep sleepers. And so then comes the story, like the story that you know from Samson and Delilah, which is, so Delilah's like, oh, you gotta tell me what makes you strong. You're so strong, just tell me what makes you strong. And Samson's like, not this again. So he's like, well, whatever, I'll lie. And so he lies. He's like, if you tie me up with 7 fresh bowstrings, I'll be weak. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, that will be good. And so some Philistines, so the Philistines are still angry at Samson, and the Philistines, I love this, because the Philistines pay Delilah to find out his weakness. Well, obviously, Samson has lied, but Delilah doesn't know that, and so Delilah's like, oh, he told me his weakness, you can come and get him. And they're like, yeah, okay. So they're hiding in the house. It says in Delilah's room. I guess they had separate rooms. But so they're hiding. So when I hear that, I'm expecting, like this. Okay, so all the Philistines are hiding, just waiting to jump Samson. And so, ooh, I'm looking good today. And so Delilah ties him up with 7 fresh bowstrings, and then during the middle of the night, she's like, Samson, the Philistines have come to attack. And of course, he gets up and he's like, draw, and breaks the bowstrings. And then, well, the Philistines are still like hiding, and it doesn't say they jump out, so I'm sure they're just like, is he weak? How about now? But of course he wasn't weak because he lied. Oh, and by the way, his strength comes from his hair. That's just because he's honoring the Lord by not cutting his hair. The Lord gives him strength. So I forgot to say that. Okay. So, oh yeah. So then Delilah goes to him, and she's like, you don't love me? You don't love me? You don't tell me why you're strong? Why won't you tell me how I can defeat you? And he's like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll tell another lie. And so he says, let's see. Yeah, she said, you have mocked me all along and told me lies. Now tell me how you can be tied up. Now, does that not sound suspicious? Okay, so then he's like, well, if you tie me up with 7? No, if you tie me up with new ropes, then I'll be as weak as any other man. Which, if she had known the story of, like, while the Israelites brought him back, they should have known that 7 ropes, or new ropes, don't help at all. So, she's dumb. Also, Samson's very unimaginative. But either way, they do it again, and the Philistines are all hiding, and she's like, Samson, the Philistines have come to get you. And he breaks the ropes, and he's like, where are they? And she's like, oh wait, oh, you lied to me again. He's like, yeah. Okay, so then she's like, oh, Samson, you keep lying to me, stop lying. And so he goes, fine, if you braid my hair into 7 braids? Where is it? If you weave the 7 braids of my head with a web of a loom, then I'll become weak as any other man. He's just getting a free, like, hair makeup because of this. So she weaves his head with a loom while he's sleeping, and so then again the Philistines are all hiding. They're like, we're gonna get them, don't you know? And Delilah's like, Samson, the Philistines are here. And he's like, I guess he didn't break out of anything because he wasn't tied up. So he was like, where? And of course his hair's like flowing now because it's in a very beautiful braid. And so he's like, where are they? And she's like, wait, you lied to me again. And then he's like, fine, I'll finally tell you. If you cut my hair, I'll be as weak as any other man. She's like, finally, I know you're telling the truth. And so she calls up, on her iPhone, the Philistines, and she's like, yo, he told me everything. And so they're like, yes. And so they come down for a 4th time, and they have somebody else cut his hair. Like, if he had woken up, like, mid-cut, and it wasn't Delilah cutting his hair, he would have freaked out. He would have freaked out anyway. But so Delilah has him fall asleep in her lap, and then Philistine cuts his hair. Just so he's bald now. And she's like, Samson, the Philistines are here, which he must get annoyed with waking up to hearing that voice and hearing that same thing that he said. And he's like, where are they? I'll get them. But he doesn't know that he's weak. So the Philistines capture him. And he's like, oh man, and they gouge his eyes out. So now he's blind. And so now it's just like, well, I shouldn't have told her my secret. So they take him, and they chain him up in in like a little Colosseum temple thing, because they're having a party, everybody has parties, and they like Samson to be there. And so Samson's chained up, and he sees like the supporting pillars of the temple, and he there must have been like a small boy, small man. I mean, everybody's small to him, but he's like, psst, hey, let me be over there where I can feel the strength of the whole building on my arms. And I guess they completely forget that he used to be strong, and so that's where they chain him up, which they're very stupid. And all this time his hair's been growing back, and so he's getting his strength back, because that's why God gave him his strength, is because he kept his hair. So it's growing back. He's getting his strength back. And he prays to the Lord. He's chained up. He's like, just let me kill all these people. And so he just pushes. He's like, and he pushes against it, and everything falls down, and everybody dies. The end. No, but the moral of the story is, one, don't get an annoying wife. And I used to always give Samson so much grief for this. I'm like, well, why is that? Like, she, like, tried to tie him up 4 times. Like, I would have realized by 4 times, like, that she's not on my side. That is so untrue. So untrue. I know from experience that a guy will do anything to keep a girl. Goodness, so I am sorry, Samson, for giving you so much grief. You didn't deserve that. Yeah, so I had fun reading this. Maybe you will too. So, Samson,